We are so thrilled to have Shannon Wilson here from Table 6 Productions. You have been the anticipation of Wade. He is like, we need to have Shannon come here. He's my favorite. I need to talk to her. I almost like let him do this interview because
he should have.
Well, I know because he's your favorite too, right?
Absolutely. He's my number one and you're my number two. Just kidding. I love you both.
We have done some amazing projects together. Some that we were up for awards for, and we went to California for Cater Source. And the amount of detailed creativity that you bring to a project and thoroughness and just your eye, it's really refreshing, and we always love doing business with you. So the most fun part of this whole process is rapid fire questions. You have first thing that comes to mind when I ask you this question. We want you to bounce back with what it is.
Do they bleep? Do you have ways to bleep?
We can bleep if you want.
Just checking.
Okay. Classic or modern?
Modern.
Wow. Light and airy or dark and moody?
Dark and moody.
You're good at this. Indoor or outdoor?
Outdoor.
I thought you needed time.
Well, I can think quickly. Long answers are a little harder.
Pinterest or Instagram?
Instagram.
Least favorite color?
Orange.
For an event or just in general?
It reminds me of Halloween, and I hate Halloween. I hate people dressed up. Scares me. It's not fun. I don't like it.
Favorite venue?
I would say the Ritz-Carlton, Naples.
Okay. I like that answer. We're gonna be there.
You are gonna be there.
I love it. I love it. I even like it more now. Favorite honeymoon location recommendation?
Costa Rica.
Have you been?
I have been.
Whereabouts?
I've been kind of on the west coast of it.
Yeah.
My family has a villa down there.
Really?
And so we've spent some time over there before. So, and a lot of my couples that have been there for their honeymoon have said it's absolutely phenomenal. So much hiking, outdoor adventure, great fishing, you know, food, restaurants.
Yeah, rainforest, surfing.
Yeah, you get both. You get both.
Sharks,
it's like Hawaii.
all of it.
You get all of it.
Huh.
I like it all.
I went for a 50th birthday party and we rented, it wasn't mine because I'm not that old yet, but close.
Close.
And rented a house in the trees and the treetops. It was
Super
really,
cool.
really fantastic. Yeah, I really liked it. I do kind of like Hawaii better.
Yeah.
How was Hawaii?
It was amazing.
Yeah?
It was amazing.
Island hopping?
Definitely where the mountains meet the sea, for sure.
And where were you in Kauai?
I went to all the islands. I did a little island hopping.
Buttercream or fondant?
Buttercream.
Wow. Interesting. Why?
I just think it tastes better. And I think when guests eat the wedding cake, they complain about the fondant. And they ask me can you get me a piece without the fondant? I want to eat this cake, but I don't want to eat the fondant. So due to sheer complaints and guest, experience, which is what I thrive on, I tell them to leave the fondant off the cake. And create it in buttercream.
Favorite personal touch to an event?
I'm a big menu card person.
Okay.
Yeah, and a napkin fold like that. Just those two things. I spend a lot of time obsessing over those two things.
The presentation of the menu card, what it is, what the material is, how it's
the font. How far do you see down? What do you put on the top? How do you fold the napkin? I used to fold my own napkins back in the day when I really wanted to be special. My husband thought I was crazy.
You are special.
And I'd put them in the boxes and I'd drag them to the venues. And I'd be like, oh, I've already folded the napkins. And the Vinoy would be like, whoa. She's really on it. I don't do it anymore. If you see me fold a napkin, you know I'm close to retirement. I don't do that anymore. But I like to think about it. But Wade does it for me now. He does.
Proudest professional moment.
Proudest professional moment was when I won Event Planner of the Year in 2009, but I also won that award for Best Entertainment with Cater Source for the MC60 party.
Yeah,
and
in 2022.
In 2022.
Yeah.
The first award that I won was voter-based. So if you had a lot of friends, you got a lot of votes,
Gotcha,
right?
yeah.
But this, when you're awarded something like this from a national, company that's well respected in the industry, and you're voted, it's voted on by a panel of professionals.
Yeah.
I think that just weighs so much
Carries more weight.
It really does.
Yeah.
So
it's amazing that from 2009 was the first national award there. In 2022 was reconfirmed 13 years later in a different facet, which speaks volumes as to what it is that you do and what you bring to the table.
Yeah.
Really cool. We were lucky enough to be a part of
you were
one day of that 3-day event.
Absolutely.
Yeah, it was really
We loved what you did. It was probably our favorite floral moment of the whole weekend was the MC60
so
letters. I think it's just an epic installation, and I think most people, when they comment about that party, that's what they talk about. The letters.
Really?
They do. They talk about the letters. Oh, that's the event where the letters with the florals and the driftwood. Yeah, that was it.
You know what was
so they remember it.
You know what was the most challenging thing? Were those columns.
Yeah.
Where there was the kind of there were 2 columns, and then there was this thing in the middle.
Yeah.
Where you wanted
the candles.
No, you wanted flowers up in the air against the wall on that thing, but there was literally nothing you could attach to. And you're like, yeah, just put something there.
Yeah.
Okay.
Well, there's chicken wire, there's glue, there's...
At a historic venue.
We'll ask for forgiveness later.
We figured it out, and I was blown away at, and I was like...
I know.
It was really good.
That is
really
cool.
good. Least favorite style?
Of wedding?
Well, let's just say in general. Let's say wedding, if that narrows it down and makes it easier for you.
My least favorite style of wedding. Okay, I don't want to offend some of these brides because they might be watching. And if I say it and that was their wedding, then I would have to say my least favorite style is your traditional Florida tropical. And I mean like the birds of paradise mixed with...
In a wedding?
Yes. When
that
people,
happens?
More than you know. Everybody that gets married in Florida from out of state, they want tropical. And when I hear that word, I just have to stretch my neck a little bit. And I say, well, let's dive a little deeper. What do you define as tropical? I'm going to show you 5 versions of tropical, and you tell me which bird you are. And then they pick, and I'm like, okay, great. You picked C, but we're going to do D. And you're going to love it. And they do.
It's really hard because they don't know what they don't know.
They don't know.
You know, and I think that it's so. I think it speaks to who you are. I love the fact that one of the things that I respect about you most is that we always know what's on Shannon's mind.
Always.
There's never a question.
Not a filter in sight.
And it's brilliant because all these other people, oftentimes they get too caught up in the niceties and the trying to please and the this and that. And yours is always navigated with trying to execute and please them at the end. But you're like, you're foolish, this isn't going to work, you need to look at it this way, blah, blah, blah. And people, in my view, need to hear it that way. Because they don't know.
They don't know.
They don't know.
And they need to be educated. And
That's right.
Unless you have years and years and years of experience like we do, you know, of just every situation happening, it's really hard, I think, for people to really trust you and just surrender, because people do want their way, especially when you get in the luxury market. It's really hard. But I've figured out, you know, I have a way, as you know, my charming, straightforward, therapeutic, spunky personality.
Works with Wade.
It really does. Well, of course. You know, it works with all kinds of personalities. And do I get pushback? Yes. And I just smile and I say, no, I know, Wade, I don't
We
know.
talked about too much. I
Yeah, no, I think it's fantastic. How much of that do you see? This is rapid fire. I apologize. I'm diving deep though. How much of that do you see of the interesting clients that come to you have been at an event that you've done before, or are closely touched by somebody that has worked with you before, or do they come from Instagram or website, or, I mean, I know they come from everywhere, but where do you think the majority come from?
A majority of them are past client referrals, or they've been to an event that I planned.
And I think that's the magic right there. That buys you a lot of credibility right from the beginning.
It sure does.
Listen, you know, if it was good enough for the Greenbergs, it's good enough for us. If it was good enough for the Steins, it's good enough for us. If it was good enough for the Joneses, it's, you know.
Sure.
And that's been, I mean, because there's nothing that speaks like that in this world, you know.
Agreed.
Hardest lesson learned in business?
To stay humble and just be sure that you're representing yourself when you are networking on a personal or professional level. The way that you want people to remember you when they think about referring you or working with you, or when somebody says, hey, have you heard from this, what do you think? And their opinion of you, and they say, oh, okay, well, we heard somebody said you were, but they didn't work with me, but they heard that, you know, I heard you were great and you were a lot of fun, and those things kind of, I think, lend to future referrals.
The best tip for a newly engaged bride?
Hire a planner and hire an experienced planner. That's my advice.
Favorite flower?
Oh, my favorite flower is probably either the ranunculus, or I am a huge fan of Queen Anne's lace.
Really?
I love Queen Anne's lace.
Huh.
I do.
Did you take the note, Wade? You see, in the background, this happens. That's why he is in your favor. I'm just saying.
Okay.
Favorite moment of a wedding?
I'm a big fan of when the situation is available, when the dad sees his daughter for the first time. That's really a big moment for me. It always was my favorite moment and my favorite candid shot from my wedding, when my dad saw me for the first time.
It's so sweet.
It's so sweet. So sweet.
So. Welcome party or farewell brunch?
Oh, welcome party. Please stop the brunches. People RSVP, they don't come. They're hung over. Oh my gosh. And it's like, and I'm tired. I don't want to do it. You know, it's like, it's another, you got to wake up and everybody's rolling in with like black eyes, and, you know, they reek like tequila. And then they have to eat this brunch and they're moping around and the energy is low, and, you know.
Best send off?
The best send-off for me is when the band does a processional out of the ballroom, because a lot of the hotels, you can't do sparklers, bubbles are not a thing, rice, forget it, unless you want to vacuum. Is where the band hops off the stage with their more mobile musicians, and they're playing the last song, and they just weave in and out of the dance floor, and they weave you right out the door. And
that's brilliant.
The leader makes announcements saying the after party is XYZ, and everybody follows them, and then we're around grabbing purses and, you know, shoes, and everybody's just parading right out of the ballroom.
I love the answers to this question, because we design the space, we install the space, we leave.
Yeah.
And then the party happens, right? Yeah. We never see the send-off. We never see, we generally are not there when people are there, except for maybe a first look or something like that. And so all of these different ways of doing a send-off are super interesting to me. And that's like where the creativity comes in with all your
the people,
kind of
the key people.
Yeah.
So fun.
Cool. So now that we got all these rapid fire questions out of the way, I want to take some time and talk about who you are, what you do, and more details about the industry that we both work in. Your company mission.
Our company mission is to build a relationship with our clients so we can create a guest experience for their guest throughout the wedding day or the wedding weekend, where they trust us with budgets, they trust us with our designs, and they trust us with our vendor partners.
And I introduced you, and I made mention of your business, but you are
Table 6 Productions.
Yes, you are. Shannon Wilson of Table 6 Productions. One of the we don't do a lot of business with a lot of people. We have a few people that we do decent amounts of business with, and they come and they go, and they come and they go, and the ones that we really like, and they must like us, they stay with us. And every process with you is nail biting, hand wringing, laugh out loud, kick the desk,
burn the fire, burn the trees.
I just love working with you. I just love working with you. It's just so much fun. And the projects that come our way, they're really, it's because, in my view, you let us really explore what it is that we want to do, and you're receptive to it. You don't always sign on to all of it, but you like, well, what about that, Darren? Well, why? Well, and you always challenge me, always. And sometimes I'm like, but it makes me better. Makes me a better designer. It makes us a better company, and I'm incredibly grateful for it. And I really, really heartfelt gratitude for all of the opportunity that you bring our way. Thank you. What ignited your passion in our industry?
Well, being a veteran, and I feel pretty good about saying that, because we're about to celebrate our 20th year in business, where we started Table 6 early spring of 2004. Wow. So what ignited me 20 years ago was there was a lack of youthful planners and a push in a color palette direction where we could convince brides to steer away from the white and the reds, roses, and that was trending, and to think outside the box. And because we were young and we were newly married, we felt that we could do it better. So we started Table 6, and we started pushing people to color palettes that weren't trending, and we started getting recognition by the Knot, started publishing a lot of our weddings. And then trends started started kind of evolving, and we just kept trying to change them. Once something became like the pink and chocolate brown, we're like, all right, what's next?
Yeah.
We're going to make up what's next.
Yeah.
And if they are going to publish it and people are going to like it and they're going to copy it, then we're going to figure out something else.
Yeah. Like people say us, what's the trend what's the trend that's happening now? And I have no idea. We set trends, we don't follow them.
Right.
And that's conceptually from the get-go, that's what we wanted to do. And part of that is just honoring the guest and what their preferences are, digging deep in that and extracting stuff out.
Right.
And I think that you're a master at doing that, and you've had 20 years experience of sharpening your skill in order to do that. It shows in every event. Every event, the details are flawless, it's really nice. What attracted you to working with Tailored Twig?
Well,
And you can't say Wade, because he wasn't here when you started.
Well, Wade is keeping me here. Just kidding. I love you too, Darren. I just.
That's on camera, right?
I love you in a different way. I love you, and I want to kill you at the same time. Ask the question again.
What attracted you to working with Tailored Twig?
Tailored Twig on social media always presented centerpieces and floral designs that looked similar to what is on Pinterest or what people are doing, but there was always a twist to it. There was always something unique about it, and you guys just look so far out of the box. No matter if the client is a modern or classic client, you always just take it and you have this special ingredient that allows you to take these classic and modern components and they're just and you just change it into something that people haven't seen before.
Yeah.
So I feel like every time I saw your images, it was always different.
Yeah.
Always. And so I thought, you know what, I'm gonna call him. And I did, and I'm very glad I did.
I'm glad
and
you
I
did
think
too.
whenever I think about you, and this is one thing I learned through other vendors that are, been in the industry for a long time, is when a planner picks you for their event, it's because they think you fit the event and they think you're the person. If they gave you every event, then that wouldn't say as much. So I would love to work with you for every wedding, but you're not for every client. But the ones that I handpick for you, it's because I know that you're gonna take the overall design and you're gonna just kill it, and you always do.
Thank you.
Always do.
Despite the fact that I always shake the tree with you.
You do shake the tree, and one day I'm gonna yank the tree out of the ground and I'm gonna whack you upside the head with it. But I think we push each other. I mean, I push you to, think about more of the overall production and think about the linens and the chairs and maybe looking at your business as you're not just an insanely talented florist, but you got to get involved in all of it.
You've pushed us, me individually, and us as a company in all the right ways. And we've evolved in large part because of a lot of your pushing, which has really been insanely rewarding for us. It really has, because then we get more of the apple then, and we can start to say, okay, well now everything is, or more of it is what was in our head.
Tailored Twig.
Yeah, and what was in our head is no longer just in our head, now it's reality, and there's nothing more rewarding than that for me, which is super cool. So you've been a super big propeller in our journey that way, and I love that. Tailored Twig's mission is centered around connection, not only to the clients we serve, but to those we work with. The benefits of this connection is far-reaching. Can you summarize the value you find in creating long-term relationships with industry partners?
Well, I think that there is a lot of value in creating long-term relationship with vendors, because it allows you to trust each other in the moments, whether it's on site, on the day, or in the pre-planning. It allows you to trust each other's decisions when you can't always have a meeting and let's discuss. It's like you have to make the choice, and I have to trust you, and you have to trust me, and then we let each other know, hey, this is what we did. And I think when you have a relationship with vendors that you respect and that are capable, I think it makes those in the moment changes, or in the heat of the moment when something is going wrong. I think it allows you to, it like reassures you that you have partnered with the right person. And you're like, I'm so glad that Darren is on this job. I think I've said that I don't know how many times. And matter of fact, there's times where I've said, damn it, I wish Darren was on this job because he would have done A, B, and C. Now I got this guy over here. No, I'm
glad you said it out loud, because now maybe you'll remember it.
I always remember it. I do remember it. I always remember it.
And I mean, you found yourself in situations where you're halfway across the country and you're just flying blind with vendors that you don't have any relationship with because you're a destination thing. In a different country, doing an event and having potential language barriers, things like that. I mean, and I think that when you find yourself in those situations is when you really start to then say, these relationships that I have are really, sometimes I might take some of them, and I'm not saying you, for me, sometimes I might take some of this for granted. And
definitely.
Yeah, it's amazing. And then not to mention the candor that we can converse about and say, can you,
can you bleep, beep, beep, you bleep and beep, what the bleep? That's my Wade language. Wade, what the fuck is this? I think those are like my tried and true behind the scenes. That's my slogan. What in the fuck? What the actual fuck? It is my love language. Darren's like, I'm not done yet. I'm not done yet. Just wait. This looks like a disaster because it's not done. Just go do something else and then come back in 6 hours. Okay, Darren, I'll be back. I'm sticking my nose where it shouldn't be. But another thing about this, Darren, is one of the biggest things that ultra luxury and luxury planners talk about is their vendor teams. And they are a huge proponent of, you have your vendor team and you don't deviate. These are the people that you use, and these are the people that are going to bring you success as a planner on the event day. Even though you might not be there in person because you leave, all of your efforts and your planning and your designing brings me success on the wedding day. And I do not take that for granted. And I try to give so much love and appreciation and spread all of the compliments to all the people that are involved, because I really would not be where I'm at if it wasn't for the people around me.
100%.
There is no planner that could ever have success or be in business this long if it wasn't for their teams. So true.
And we wouldn't obviously be in business if it weren't for the clients that come our way from planners like you. I mean, it just wouldn't happen. So it's this kind of incestuous relationship that is really works well when it works well.
That's right. And if it doesn't work well, we just slap each other until the last man's standing. And then Wade rescues me.
What distinguishes you from other planners?
Well, I would say my candidness and my, I really feel like I work hard to educate my clients on the experience that I've had and the years of the variety of weddings that I've produced. And I think that when I use education as a tool to work with clients within their budgets or their designs, I think that is one thing that sets me apart. And I also think building a relationship with that client on a personal level, so there's that trust there too. So where you have light banter and you kind of become their friend, or if I'm working with a mother of the bride, it's like I figure out a way to adjust my personality to relate to those people, so they really enjoy the journey and it's not stressful, and they trust me at the same time.
I think that you're incredibly gifted at doing that. You're a really good people person that can read the room, read a person, and that's invaluable not only for the one-on-one like that, but also for the event when it's happening and there's multiple
people.
Personalities. But the other thing that I think that seems like it's a no-brainer, and like a planner should be wickedly skilled at this, is organization. And there's only one other planner that I know of that is as organized as you are. And every time that we get together and the 3-ring binder comes out, the flip.
And let's talk about my event guides. They're 17 to 20 pages long, and you have to scroll to find it.
I love them because I mean,
it's the Bible.
Everything is there.
Everything.
And it doesn't only exist a week before. I mean, when we're working together, it's like you have your shit wrapped tight, and that is. You would think a planner would be organized. You'd be amazed at how many planners we encounter where it's like.
Yeah, fly by the seat.
And we, if we're not prepared and we're not organized, how do you execute? So and the proof is in the pudding. It always is, right? Craziest scenario during a wedding.
Oh my gosh. Well, I'm going to keep this PG-13, assuming it's appropriate for 13-year-olds. I have had a client eat too many mushrooms at the wedding.
Like shiitakes, portobellos?
Oh, no, the ones that grow on cow manure. And they started losing their mind slightly, and so we had to take the client out of the room and put her in her room to sit quietly and behave and let the party go to the end.
Was it a guest or the client?
It was the client. Didn't know mushrooms. I guess this is a new thing going on.
I thought that was microdosing.
I've seen people make out in the bushes. I mean, that's like, sometimes bridesmaids, they get a little loosey-goosey and they find them in the back with the groomsmen. I don't know. Oh my gosh, the list really just goes on. I mean, 20 years of so many different scenarios of things that I can't control. I can't control people's behavior, right? I can just control everything else but how they behave. So a lot of crazy things. And then, there's been things that have been like, oops, where there's like a drape that falls and hits somebody on the head. I mean, those were kind of like more old school days. Like now, the teams that we work with, there's no,
it's flawless.
It's flawless.
Yeah.
And if it's not, you fix it before you tell me.
That's right.
Just like what happened at Petrov.
What happened there?
The aisle flowers froze in your truck.
Oh yeah, but that was days before, and I fixed that without even letting you know.
I know.
Yeah.
But I mean, those things happen where it's like that's crazy that we lost a 40-foot double aisle worth of flowers.
Baby, it was that's a lot. It was a football field long. If you put them end to end, it was a 300 feet linear feet of flowers that the rental refrigerated box truck malfunctioned and froze everything.
Yeah. That was insane that you were able to.
I didn't even tell you.
I know. Until after the new product was making its entrance.
And it looked better.
It looked so much better. I was like, oh, Darren, this is gorgeous. Just you're like, well, I didn't tell you this 2 days ago for a reason.
Yeah. It was a sleepless night. But to your point before, I mean, there's no answer but
a solution
working through. That's right.
There
That's
there are no problems. There's never problems. There's always solutions.
Yeah.
That's why I say, oh, anything gone wrong? No, nothing goes wrong. It's just I had to do something to fix something.
Yeah.
You know.
Yeah. Yeah. That was a hat trick. That one.
Yeah.
That was a hat trick.
Yeah.
Advice on finding the right wedding planner.
I think personalities have to click. I think that's important. I think finding somebody that really knows a lot about the market that you're looking to get married in. I think experience in that area is important.
Yeah.
I think when you're looking for a planner, you have to kind of know what kind of volume that they do, so you really kind of know what service level you're going to get.
Yeah.
So if you have a planner and they have this many team members and they do this many events, you could do the math.
Yeah.
And then if you have this planner and they do this many, and then you kind of know, where you're going to fit in the pecking order, or how much time they're going to have, and what level of service I think is the most important part of that. What you're going to get.
Yeah, I think too, in order to make an informed decision based on this, you also need to understand what you need a wedding planner for.
Right.
And I think that, in the luxury market, it's one thing. It's a no-brainer. They're like, absolutely, I need somebody. But in anything leading up to that even abuts into it, a lot of people think it's just a party.
Yeah. What do you need a planner for?
I mean, maybe someone there day of.
Yeah. Yes. Yes, and we do not do those.
Yeah.
We're more of a full service. We believe in servicing the client and their families, being available, and we really just want to walk the journey with them, because we're so involved in every detail, and we are so involved in the design and making design boards and handpicking the perfect team. We have to have time and space and mental space. For these clients.
And time to connect and converse
and chat and talk about something funny,
See what inspires them, see what is
send them a funny
distasteful.
photo, like, oh my God, girl, I just went by and look what I saw, you're gonna die, and then they laugh, they're like, oh my God, that's so cool.
Yeah.
I thought of you, look at this, what do you think about this? And it's just like
get in their head.
It's just, you're just always connecting, always.
Yeah.
So some of these planners that say, well, no texting, I definitely understand that, and there's a lot of brides I wish I would implement that boundary. But I just think that at the end, when I hear what they say to me after the wedding, and what feedback the hotel gets or other people get, and they share it with me, it's that they just really love working with me, and they loved being my friend, and they loved the experience they had from the beginning to the very end.
And so, I mean, the amount of events, the amount of weddings that you do a year.
My sweet spot is 8. It depends on how many wedding weekends I'm doing, but 8 to 10 is really my max.
Yeah. So I mean, you do the math. I mean, 8 to 10. If that's all, and I don't mean it like that. If that's all you're doing, what that means to me, because I've experienced several events with you, is, and I know what's in the background, is just how much time is dedicated to each one.
That's right.
How much you and all of your selected team is salivating over the details and bouncing this off and this and that and trying this and trying that. It's not like it's just like, there it is.
Yep, no.
Yeah.
No, it's layers and layers and layers.
Yeah, your understanding of that and appreciation of that is like really, really fantastic. I have a couple of conclusionary questions.
Okay.
Last one is my favorite, so I'm going to save that. There's only 3.
Okay.
Okay. Anything on the horizon that excites you?
Just new clients, booking new business, seeing what this new economy brings. There's some trying times economically, right, where everybody's just kind of wondering what's going to happen next. So I'm excited to navigate through those times, you know, and see what it brings, because I think there's going to be some changes.
Yeah. And you've seen the ups and the downs. You've seen 2008, 9, and
I've seen presidential swaps. I've seen this. I've gone through banking crisis, housing, you know,
bubbles,
crashes. You know, so I've seen all the financial ups and downs and how it impacts the weddings.
Yeah, it's just being along for the ride.
Yeah, I'm along for the ride.
I love it. I love it. Where do you see yourself? Where do you see this industry in 5 years, and how do you see your part in it?
I think this industry is going to continue to have its run-ins with inflation and some of the pieces that like labor and deliveries, and still some of our increased line items that are going up as we all have to pass all those increases on to the client. I think we're going to see a shift in guest counts again. I think we're going to see less people so they can spend more money on the experience and the decor. So I also think that a lot of people are going to go for these weekend guest experience, where they're going to have Friday night welcome parties, Saturday weddings, and they're going to do brunches. I still
despite your advice.
Yeah, despite my advice, I still think people are going to do it, because they want their guests to feel connected to them, and they want them to know that out of 250, 300 people that they know, they selected these 100 people to attend.
Yeah, and I think that's a byproduct of COVID. I really think that is a byproduct
100%, but I think we have a few years to still deal with that.
I love it. I think it's great. I mean, to facilitate connection and to value connection, human to human, I think is a really, really lovely thing. What else could be better?
Yeah, absolutely.
Last question.
Okay.
Given your vast life experience, what advice would you give yourself at 5 years old?
As like a kid?
If you could tell yourself at 5, you now tell yourself at 5 years old, what advice would you give yourself?
I would tell myself to learn to be a better listener to people that know what they're talking about, and that are professionals, like your teachers. I mean, we know some teachers may not, but your teachers, your instructors, your parents, because they know, because they're experienced and they're wise, and they've been doing whatever they're doing for a long period of time, and they've been doing life a lot longer than you have. So if I could...
So does that mean if you don't listen to me, I don't know what I'm talking about?
No. It just means I don't agree with you. So the problems I had at 5 are clearly still happening at 46. So if I could change that about myself, I would be a better listener, because when I was young, I was not a good listener. Oh no, I did exactly what Shannon Wilson thought she should do. And I don't always believe that my choices really were the best choices.
Yeah.
But I was so strong-willed and so independent and so driven that was just
I think this is where this fire and ice thing comes with you and me, because I kind of grew up as a child the same way. But looking back, all of that has given me so much knowledge of doing things that I maybe shouldn't have done, or maybe should have done a little differently, you know? I've learned a lot from falling on my face.
But I think as a planner and as an independent business owner where you don't have employees and it is just you, you really have to learn to listen to other people and listen to your clients and listen to the vendors. And I think that's one of the traits that you appreciate about me, because I do question you and I do ask those questions and I do challenge you sometimes. But I think had I learned the skill a little sooner, when I started the first 10 years of my business, I think I could have learned a little bit of something about, you know, the fake it till you make it is definitely a thing. But if I could have spent more time listening and learning from other people, I think maybe my first 10 years might have been a little different.
Well, from my perspective, you are a wise woman that is very astute at doing this career, and I have mad respect for you and mad appreciation for you entering our world. So thank you so much for spending time with us today.
Thank you for inviting me.
Really, really appreciate it.
You know I love you.
Ah.